Guys, I saw the price of the Subaru Solterra EV, the new version, the 2026 model. And, to be honest, it didn't really interest me that much. It's kind of a boring car in a segment with many interesting cars. I think there's about 25 different models in this segment now, medium-sized electric SUVs. There's so many. What struck me, though, about the price of the new Subaru Solterra was not the fact that it's been discounted by $6,000 or the fact that the new model has 170 kilometers or just over 100 miles more range than the previous version. It was the difference between the premium version and the non-premium version. The premium version gets 20-inch wheels. The non-premium version gets 18-inch wheels. And the premium version therefore gets way less range than the cheaper non-premium. So you're paying an additional $6,000 to get a couple of little features, not a big deal, opening sunroof, but you're getting a massive downgrade in range. And this got me to thinking, I've got two EVs right now. I'm about to pick up the second one this week. And both of my cars would get a lot more range if they had 18-inch wheels on them, a lot more. How much more range would they actually get though? Well, the difference might be bigger than you realize. And Subaru have basically spelled it out for us. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. It's great to have you with us. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. Now, to be honest, guys, Subaru's information they put out to the public, I don't believe that the testing they've done on this car is 100% accurate. I should say that to begin with, because I think the range Subaru claims it's getting with its latest EV is exaggerated. But it still does show us, I think, an interesting difference between the 20-inch model versus the 18-inch wheel model. The price is $64,000 here in Australia before on-road costs, so about $40,000 US dollars, right? Similar prices in the United States. That means it's $6,000 cheaper than before, but the touring model is an additional $6,000. Now, I'll outline what you get in terms of the differences, but that's a $7,000 discount. The range, though, has gone up by a massive 152 kilometers. Has it really increased by 152 kilometers considering the battery pack is only a few percent bigger? Well, I don't know about that. I'm skeptical. But total range is now 566 kilometers. So that's 4 kilometers less range than my Xpeng G6. Even though the battery pack is much smaller. The battery is only a 75 kilowatt or 74.7 kilowatt hour battery, whereas the battery in my Xpeng is an 87 kilowatt hour battery. It's much bigger. It's 12.3 kilowatt hours bigger. And the range, apparently, according to Subaru, is exactly the same. Considering both cars are pretty similar size, I find that hard to believe. Now, it's also hard to believe because the Subaru is a very, very high vehicle. It is, actually. The height of this car is 217 millimeters off the road, meaning it's literally 40 millimeters, 4 centimeters higher than the Xpeng G6 and the Tesla Model Y. It's like getting a 1.5-inch lift kit on your car. Literally, that's a big difference. So Subaru is saying this is one of the most efficient cars on the planet, and at the same time they're saying this car has been jacked up to the height of SUVs, actual SUVs. You can see why I'm skeptical? Anyway, the point is here that the range has increased, and the point is we can compare the range of the long-range version, which is the cheaper one, versus the shorter range version using exactly the same battery. The only difference is the wheel size. The range of the shorter range version with the 20-inch wheels is 517 kilometers. So that means you're getting 50 kilometers more range by having wheels that are 2 inches smaller. 2-inch difference in wheel size. The overall diameter size is, including the tires I've worked out, it's pretty much a 2-inch difference. So 50 kilometers of range. Now that would mean my car, which has 20-inch rims, the Xpeng G6, and has 570 kilometers of range, if that had 18-inch rims on it, it should get about 620 or so kilometers of range. That's a pretty big difference. In fact, that's a huge difference. And it's kind of a big bragging right thing. Personally, I don't know about you guys, but the first thing that I look at when I see a new EV is what's the range? The first thing. I'm interested in everything, but that's probably the part that interests me the most, because I think that more EVs, if we have more EVs with more than 600 kilometers of range, more people can't say, oh, an EV is not suitable for me. I need to drive a long distance. Oh, an EV doesn't have enough range. So we can kind of get rid of that argument if we have more EVs with more range. And we can help ourselves to get rid of this argument by simply putting on smaller wheels. Now, of course, there is a limit to this. When you go below 17 inches, it's not going to give you any advantage. And then it's just pointless. But around 17 inches is the optimum size. Of course, 17-inch wheels might look quite small on a car. I don't think it really matters, though, to be honest with you. I don't think it makes a big difference. But 18-inch or 17-inch wheels is really the ideal size. For me, I kind of do wonder what if, because the car I'm about to get this week, it's the Zeekr 7X all-wheel drive, the performance version. And like the Tesla Model Y Performance, it has 21-inch rims. But that significantly downgrades the range. The range, in fact, goes down by even more than this. The long-range version, right, with the same battery pack size, it has 615 kilometers of range. And the Zeekr 7X with the bigger wheels, 21-inch wheels, it has 543 kilometers of range. So that's like just over a 70-kilometer range difference. It's pretty big. Now, there's a few things that make that a harder comparison, though, because that is, you're comparing a car with air suspension that rides lower, the performance version, when it's on the freeway, for example, and normal driving, it rides lower than the non-21-inch performance version. And also it's got an additional motor at the front. So there's a few little differences there which make it kind of a hard comparison. But this Subaru is great because the Subaru gives us an exact comparison. It's exactly the same car. There's no differences. They're both all-wheel drive. And that's another point where I think Subaru is probably exaggerating the efficiency. It's an all-wheel drive car, whereas my Xpeng G6 is rear-wheel drive. So Subaru have added an additional motor, and they're saying they're getting the same range as the G6. Yeah, I mean, it seems highly unlikely that their claims are correct. But anyway, the point is that we can compare the two of them, the two models. The only difference is the wheel size, and the range difference is 50 kilometers with a 2-inch difference in size. Now, Tesla, interestingly, over the past couple of years have begun to reduce the size of their wheels. And now, if you want to buy the Tesla Model Y, the super long range version in China, it comes with 18-inch wheels as standard. You can option bigger wheels, but then your range will be lower. And Tesla have done the same thing with both the Model Y and the Model 3. They haven't done much to change it, actually. The main difference they've made is a slight difference, a tiny size battery difference, just a really small difference, 2.5 kilowatt hours difference. But the bigger difference is just putting on smaller wheels. Getting back to the Subaru, right? The price for this car, with its 74.7 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery, is $66,000. Now, the increase in battery size, it's gone from a 71.4 kilowatt hour CATL NMC battery, so CATL NMC battery. It's gone from 71.7 to 74.7, so it's only a 3 kilowatt hour battery size difference. However, the dual motor all-wheel drive now has peak power, so it's got more power. It's got 252 kilowatt. Torque is the same. But anyway, the power's gone up, right? And the battery size has gone up by 3 kilowatt hours. And Subaru is saying it has 150 kilometers more range. Anyway, AC charging rate has also improved. So kudos to Subaru. It's a 22 kilowatt AC charging, up from 11. That's a good change. DC charging is a little slow for a car costing this much, though. I mean, more than $40,000 US for a car that DC charges at 150 kilowatt. To me, that's not really acceptable at that price point. For example, the 7X and the new Xpeng G6 will both charge at 450 kilowatt. So triple the theoretical peak speeds of charging. Subaru says it has introduced an intelligent adaptive torque system. According to the brand, front motor torque is increased on corner entry to assist turn-in. So they say that this basically this new torque system will help you to get around corners faster. But make no mistake, this is not a performance car. Even though it's all-wheel drive, 252 kilowatt, it's one of the fastest Subarus ever. 0 to 100 is about just over 5.5 seconds. So that's 0 to 62 miles an hour, about 5.5 seconds. But like I said, it sits up way too high off the ground to be a performance car. It's 217 millimeters high. which is not far off, almost the height of a Subaru Forester. Anyhow, there have been some suspension changes as well, which are intended to improve ride comfort, including for rear seat occupants. Inside, the touchscreen is smaller than other rivals at this price point, not much, but it's actually the biggest touchscreen that's ever been fitted to a Subaru. It's kind of funny. It's a 14-inch screen. There's also a 15-watt, actually two 15-watt wireless phone chargers, and the front seats get heating, but not ventilation. Outside, you can get two-tone paint options. I'm not sure why you want to do that, but some people do. Now, guys, this is actually the sister model to the Toyota BZ4X. It's pretty much the same car, but with the BZ4X, you don't have to get, well, it's not all-wheel drive standard. Of course, with the Subarus, both models have all-wheel drive. There's only all-wheel drive options. Getting back to that pricing. It's ironic here, guys, because the price for the base model at 64,000 Australian dollars, about 40,000 US, is 6,000 cheaper than the previous price. But like I said, it's 6,000 cheaper than the all-wheel drive Touring, which costs $70,000. And the all-wheel drive Touring at $70,000 gets 50 kilometers less range. Now, getting back to the actual drivetrains and the efficiency, power, 252 kilowatt, that's about 340 horsepower, 337 newton meters of torque. The front motors put out 167 kilowatt, which is just over 200 horsepower, and 268 newton meters. And the rear motors put out a lot less power. So the rear motors have 88 kilowatt and 170 newton meters of torque. Combined system power is 252 kilowatt. The weight of these cars is actually pretty good. Now, I should mention they're slightly smaller than a Model Y and XP G6, 90 millimeters shorter than a Model Y and a G6. But the weight, like I said, still pretty good with this size battery, 1,980 kilos for the base model, an additional 25 kilos for the premium spec model. Energy consumption is claimed to be as good as a Tesla Model Y, 14.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers for the base model, and 16 kilowatt hours per 100 for the more expensive premium model, which is, it's kind of interesting, isn't it, to see the difference in efficiency with those bigger wheels. Put on wheels that are 2 inches bigger and your efficiency goes from 14.6 to 16. That's quite a difference. Towing capacity is actually quite good. They've improved the towing as well. Unbraked towing is 750 kilos, but braked towing capacity is 1,500 kilos, which is an improvement of 750 kilos. Actual dimensions are 4,690 millimeters, so about 90 millimeters shorter than other cars in the segment, like the G6, the Zeekr 7X, and the Tesla Model Y. Boot space is surprisingly small. In fact, I would say it's unacceptably small. It's 410 litres. 410. That's actually about the same boot space as what you get in a Volkswagen Golf. So I think it's too small for a car of this price and a car of this size. But if you fold the seats down, you get actually quite a lot of space. 2,005 litres with the rear seats folded down. So very good space with those seats folded down. With the seats up, very, very small. One of the smallest boot spaces. I think it's actually the smallest in this segment. Warranty for Subaru Solterras is 5 years unlimited kilometers, and it's an 8-year battery warranty, but pretty much similar battery warranty to what most, not all, but most cars in this segment. Now, I should mention, guys, what you get in addition if you buy the Touring model. You pay the extra $6,000. You get 20-inch wheels, a panoramic glass roof, auto-dipping side mirrors with position memory, 2-position driver's seat memory, ventilated front seats, which absolutely should be standard in the base model, a 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, and a 1,500-watt vehicle-to-load power outlet. So 1,500-watt vehicle-to-load is a lot, probably less than the segment average. Most cars have around a 3-kilowatt vehicle-to-load, but in my opinion, you shouldn't have to pay an additional $6,000 to get ventilated seats and vehicle-to-load, which don't come standard as standard for the base model. Now, the other problem is, guys, if you want vehicle to load and you want a panoramic glass roof and you want ventilated front seats, but you want to keep the good range and not lose 50 kilometers, you can't. You got no real choice here. Subaru is not saying, hey, if you want, you can reduce the size of the wheels in the touring model. So it's kind of a disadvantage. Getting back to my main point here, and I think it's this: why do so many manufacturers put big wheels on their cars? There's really no advantage to them. They usually provide a harsher ride quality, the tires are more expensive, and they significantly reduce your efficiency and your overall range. I think in probably the next generation of cars, it's going to change. But at this point in time, to me, this stuff, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Getting back to the Subaru as well, the price for the Solterra, it's too expensive. The Model Y, the G6, the Xpeng 7X, they're better cars and they're cheaper. Well, they're similar prices or they're cheaper. And they're just better vehicles in almost every way. I don't believe Subaru really have best-in-class efficiency in their cars, especially considering they ride so high off the road. But who knows? I'm actually going to go and test one. As soon as this car comes to market, I'm going to go test it, and I'm going to see if it gets anywhere near these claims. It'll be really interesting to find out. Let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.